Hello guys, welcome to our first Nuke tutorial. In this one, we're gonna go ahead and try to reverse track a camera using the camera tracker in Nuke. So right here in the node graph, I am gonna press the R button to load a footage here and open it. This is actually the chapel of the Incarnate Word. One of the iconic building of our university, and it goes like this. It's just a very simple panning and rotate kind of like movement. Somehow I lost the last 3 frames for some weird reason. This footage is shot using iPhone, so not quite detailed but good enough for our demonstration purpose. I'm gonna go ahead and first drop down a tracker. So press tab and type in tracker. That's gonna allow me to have a tracker here to stabilize the footage first. So let me zoom in and find some very unique features here. Oh, before I do that, I can also drop down a contrast. Actually a C. Grab this read one and press the C button on the keyboard. That's going to allow me to drop down a color correct. This guy will allow me to change a lot of things like saturation and contrast. So I'm going to bring up the contrast just a little bit to make some of the very unique features like those cross more visible. And then back to the tracker, double click on it, and I'm gonna go to the tracker tab and click on add track, and that's gonna allow me to drop down those tracks. For this one, I'm gonna drop it down on this cross here, and then I can make this feature range smaller and the search range bigger, so that I'm basically telling Nuke to search for this thing in every frame and see where it is. You search this far. Okay. Now my movement is not going very fast, so I think that's actually okay. So I'm gonna do the same thing here. Add another track and drag it here. Make it a little smaller so it actually only have the important part here, and drag the search distance just a little bit bigger. Okay, cool. I'm gonna do the same thing here. You probably don't need even drag things around, just have the default size. It's working okay in my footage here, but just in case your object is moving too fast, you have to make this guy also go bigger. Alright, cool. I have 4 tracks. Let me select the first one, holding down shift, click on the last one to allow me to select all 4 trackers, and go ahead and click on this track to the end, and that's gonna allow Nuke to try to track where they are on every frame. You can actually see everything here is actually being tracked nicely, going back and forth when the camera moves. Okay, now because I was on actually frame 25, I have to also track back on the previous 25 frames. So I can click on track to the start to track backwards. That doesn't really do that. Let me try that again. Nope. Got some arrows. I'm gonna double click on that and reload some. I think my footage is somehow having a lot of trouble for some reason, but yeah. So just select, double click on the read and reload. Go back to the tracker, click 1 to reconnect it to the viewer. As you can see, this 1 here, you grab any node and click 1 to connect it to the viewer, and that's what you're seeing. So I need to see the tracker again. So grab it and press 1, double click on it, grab all 4 tracks, and let's check backwards. Okay, now that's working. Whoops, sorry about that. So now I have all the tracks, and going nicely, it's always telling me where that feature I tell it to track, where it is. As you can see, It's moving quite nicely. I probably don't even need to do some of the stabilizing, but it's also wavering just a little bit. We can even that out. To do so, you go to the tracker one and go to transform and change the transform to remove jitter. Okay, and then you go back to frame 1 and just play it one more time. It will try to even out the frames and give me just a little bit more stable result. Alright, again I lost the last few frames. So just to really get rid of that annoying few frames on the very end, I'm gonna actually go ahead and drop down a W. W is write. I can write out footages. So I'm gonna go click on the file and I'm gonna say, how about writing out a image sequence for me? I'm gonna call this guy stable stabilized dot 4 hashes dot JPEG, and then save. All right, and then it will be able to actually recognize as a JPEG format and drag the quality up to 1, and then click on render and tell it to render 1 to 115. That's how much frame I actually have in this footage, and I'm gonna hit OK, and it's gonna export all the frames. I do this not just because I need those 3 frames deleted. I can change the frame range to achieve that. What I really wanted is actually a image sequence so that Nuke can calculate faster. So for these guys, I'm gonna move them away. Tap and tap in backdrop. That's gonna allow me to create a draft backdrop here. Double click on it. I'm gonna name this guy or give it a label called stabilize, and can break the connection here. I'm gonna go ahead and press the R button to read the stabilized input and press open. Stabilized footage. I'm gonna change this input, this time range to input, and then click that and press 1 to connect it. That way it should be able to recognize I have only 115 frames because that's how much you have on this footage. Now I'm going to also go ahead and change this guy to 2. That's going to allow me to only see 2 attributes, the backdrop here and the read. The more you create, it will actually put that guy, the new guy, on top and kick this guy out. Okay, which leaves only 2 all the time. Only 2 attributes all the time. Okay, 2 properties. So now I have this new image. Oh, you know what? I did that wrong actually. I need the result without the color correct. So let me delete this guy. Press D to disable color correct here, and double click on the right. Let's just write it out one more time. Yeah, you can disable a node by simply selecting it and press the D button. That should allow me to get the uncolor corrected non-high contrast result because I kind of need that. So I'm pressing the R again, click on the stabilized results, double click, press 1. Right, that's gonna give me the original result but with the stabilized result. Okay, cool. So now I'm gonna do camera track. To do so, I'm gonna also press the C button again just to have some color correction to bring back the contrast so that the tracker will be better. I'm gonna also select the color correct, press tab button and tap in camera tracker. Camera tracker will allow me to track the camera by clicking on the track. So I'm going to do that right now. It's going to go through the footage one more time, trying to figure out those very high contrast features and figure out how they are moving in this 2D way. I'm using an iPhone, so probably don't have the lens distortion because it tries to counter that, I guess. So I don't really change this lens distortion to anything. Okay, so I'm gonna keep it like that. If you know your camera, you can define like the focal length, change that to a constant, and type in a actual focal length you know about your camera. For now, I don't know the focal length of the iPhone, so just I'm just gonna leave that as unknown. It's gonna track backward and forward and have a bunch of those points like this. And then afterwards, I'm gonna click on the solve. It will try to reverse calculate and figure out how they're actually moving in 3D. Okay, and then I'm gonna go to the auto tracks, and you can look at this number here. This number should be smaller than 1. If it's bigger than 1, that means you're having a lot of arrows. So if you have some arrows, you can actually go ahead and tweak some of the settings like the min length. The higher this is, the lesser points will be considered as accurate. As you can see, when I drag it up, I have more red lines. Okay. I think they're actually doing pretty okay. I'm going to change that back to 3. It's working quite nicely. And you can also try to drag these guys to lower down the the amount of those green trackers, which is the correct ones. And when you're getting lesser by dragging those sliders, so max arrow, min arrow, you can actually get higher score later on. But I think the default setting is actually pretty cool on mine, so I'm not gonna do too much. So I'm gonna say delete these unsubbed guys and delete these rejected guys. This is gonna give me only the green ones. Okay. And then I'm gonna click on focal length, position, rotation, and refine the solve. Okay. Got some red one again here. Not sure why it's there, but let's do delete unsolved and the rejected. As you can see, the score, the sub arrow are dropping down. The lower this number is, the better it is, but generally lower than 1 is good enough. So just want to show you that you can even make it better by doing those operations. All right, so we're done with that. Go back to the camera tracker, and then you can go to the export and choose scene and create. That's gonna allow Nuke to create all those 3D nodes: camera tracker, point cloud, camera 1, and scene. Okay. So I'm gonna grab the scene here and press tab and type in skyline render. The scene will be used as the object input. Camera will go connected to the camera 1. Background can be actually the original image. So it's gonna render whatever in this 3D scene using that camera, and render whatever in it. In this case, only a point cloud. If you want to see that, you can go to the 2D viewer 1 here and press the tab button to go see the 3D view. Okay, you have the camera, you have the point cloud. Your navigation, the navigation here will be go to edit, preferences, viewer handles, and change that to Maya, 3D control tab to Maya, so that you can navigate like Maya. Alright, back to the 2D view. Again, you can middle mouse drag to move it, mouse wheel to zoom in and out, or alt right mouse button, middle mouse button to zoom in and out. In the node graph, it's the same thing. Okay. Anyway, so I'm gonna grab this guy and press 1 to connect that to the viewer. As you can see now, we're basically rendering those points on top of the background here. And if you play through the animation, you should be able to see that all the points are moving with the footage and stick on those positions quite nicely. Those are the original position of the tracking points. Alright, now go back to the camera tracker. I'm going to select it and press 1 and go a few frames forward. Not sure why I'm not seeing the... Oh, yeah, double click on it also to show the white dots, white tracker, gray trackers. I'm gonna actually click on this one and shift click on the other one here, right click, go scene, add scale distance. This is gonna allow me to tell it how long this line is in real world unit. To do so, you go to the scene tab and type in the actual unit. The default unit in Nuke is millimeters, so I'm gonna assume that's like 5 meters or so. So 500 should be good. Actually, centimeters then. 500 is 5 meters. Anyway, so that's gonna give me the proper size. As you can see now, if I go back to the 3D view, camera is now over here and the objects are far away, far away, and that's actually the proper distance, more or less. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and writing out the, oh, if it's easier, we can also do this little trick. We can also go to the chapel, grab one of the trackers, right click, go to the create cube. That's gonna allow us, this is gonna create a cube here. I'm gonna connect this cube 1 to scene 1 and change the uniform scale to like 200 or so. Okay. Now I should be able to see that cube over here in the scene view, and that's where the chapel is. Maybe even a little bit bigger, like 2000. 2000's too big. Just 500 then. Okay, that's gonna give me an indication of where the chapel is in the track. Back to the 2D view. So I'm gonna write everything out. So grab the scene 1 and press tab. I'm gonna say write geo, and write geo will allow me to write out the geometry here. So let's double click on it and go to the file and click there. I'm gonna go back to the whoops, to here and go up. I have this Maya project right here. Right. Oops. I'm gonna go look for the asset folder. I'm gonna type in camera track .fbx. Also type in maybe to Maya, so it's very clear that I want this to be to go to Maya. Okay, to Maya, and then open. All right, cool. And I'm gonna say that's good. Change the file type actually to fbx and execute, and type in okay. That's gonna export everything in the scene that include the camera, the point clouds, this cube here, and they're gonna all be imported into a FBX file, and also the camera will have the animation needed. Okay, cool. That's gonna be it. That's gonna be it for this tutorial. In the next one, we're gonna go ahead and bring everything to Maya and match it with a 3D model. Okay, see you next time.